Let's talk about pet insurance, shall we? So this is our sweet Jazmine, retired racing Greyhound, about 10 years old as of next month. She has a mast cell tumor. Jazmine, come here. Show off your tumor. Show off your tumor. Come here. On her side, she has, see that? That's a mast cell tumor. It is cancerous, although usually they are what are called low grade, and that basically means it's probably not spreading. We've had her in for a rather thorough examination and diagnostic work. She's had an ultrasound and radiographs. And we have the reports back on both of those, and they basically show that nothing has metastasized, nothing has spread, there's nothing in her lungs, there's nothing in any of her abdominal cavity. So it seems to just be that lump on her skin. It's not attached to anything behind it. It's just on the skin. These diagnostics, they're pretty expensive, and they were important to do because we wanted to make sure that she didn't have cancer all over her body. That would have definitely required a very different approach to how we're going to be treating this. So what we have planned is for her in about 2 weeks to go in to have this mast cell tumor removed from her skin. We're actually having, at the veterinarian's recommendation, a board-certified surgeon doing the work. And by the time all is said and done, the bills are going to run about $5,000. That is a lot of money, especially for us where we just don't have huge amounts of cash lying around for such emergencies. I wish we did, but we're not there yet. And we decided a few years ago to get pet insurance on all of our critters, including Jazmine here. We went with Trupanion. Their insurance program is such that they cover 90%. There's a deductible that you can select. The higher the deductible, of course, the lower the premiums. So because we wanted maximum affordability of the premiums, and we usually have a few $1,000s lying around for this and that, we figured that we could absorb that deductible if something big happened, and that we wouldn't have to be too terribly concerned about an enormous bill beyond that $1,000 if something big did happen. Well, this is pretty big. So we are now satisfied with that $1,000 deductible after the work that's been done so far. The big bill is going to be on the 22nd. That's going to run about $3,000, but we're only going to have to pay maybe around $300 of that. So that's a huge benefit for us because for the reasons I stated before, we just don't have that kind of money lying around. The premiums vary from pet to pet depending on their age, the amount of the deductible, of course. Jazmine's monthly premium is less than $100. I don't recall the exact amount, but it's less than $100. I think it's 80 something. And that's not exactly cheap. And when you consider that we've been paying that premium for the last 3 years, well, that's a couple grand, right? It may not seem like it's that great of a so-called deal to be paying these premiums when, in theory, I could have been socking that money away and for a rainy day fund for the dog in case she had anything bad happen, then we would have all that cash lying around. Well, the fact is she's been covered for that whole 3 years. So if anything bad happened on the first day, she would have been covered. I think there's a little bit of a delay before it kicks in, but you get the point. We had peace of mind for those 3 years, and we knew that if something bad happened like this, we would have good coverage. And that's another point I want to make. It's very important that if you do get pet insurance, and if you look at the different options that are out there, that you understand what the coverage is and what it does not cover, so that you're not surprised later. And with Trupanion, our veterinary clinic actually has a direct billing relationship with them, so they can submit invoices directly online and be reimbursed for those bills directly. We don't even have to. It's not a matter for us of having to pay the charges and then be reimbursed. Although there might be a circumstance where that might be necessary. If, say, there's an emergency vet that doesn't accept Trupanion direct billing, we would have to pay out of pocket and then submit for reimbursement. And they're usually pretty good about reviewing those invoices and approving them or rejecting them fairly quickly. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you about pet insurance. If you don't think that you can afford the premiums, well, then I would question whether or not you can afford the actual vet bills if they happen. So maybe it's not a matter of you can't afford it. Maybe you can't afford not to have the insurance. Or just the other option is go into debt and borrow for those veterinary bills, or opt to euthanize if you can't afford. It's heartbreaking, but those are the realities that you need to consider. So, Jazmine, are you ready for your surgery on the 22nd? Maybe? Jazzy! Jazz! Yeah, she's not so happy with me right now. She knows something's going on. But actually, she's in really great shape. She's very excited about her walks, and she wags her tail. She's a very happy girl. So I don't think this tumor is bothering her at all, thankfully. She's just kind of tired right now, doing what greyhounds do best. Cheers.